or you could just talk. Either way. Oh, and you also have to unmute yourself, or I have to give your entire 10-minute speech from memory.
And I'm surprised I muted myself. No, when you said I was this tall and you can't see me, I said, no, I was this tall because I've shrunk in my older age.
Mm.
But in any case, yes, it was a good experience for both of us. All right. So as Paul said, I'm Sheree White. And what I want to talk to you about today is something called the IRS Dirty Dozen. Every year in April, the IRS comes out with a list of 12 scams and schemes that put taxpayers and tax professionals at risk for losing money, personal information, data, and more.
Sheree, you might have to unmute yourself. I'm just gonna mute everybody. And now unmute yourself. There you go.
Okay. All right. Do I need to start again or?
No, keep going.
Okay. All right. So it's a list of taxpayer warnings. It's alerts to taxpayers of multiple types of scams attempting to steal taxpayer money or falsely lowering taxes using suspicious online advice. So I can tell you that if you go on irs.gov and you search for the 2023 Dirty Dozen, you'll get a full list of the scams and schemes that are part of the Dirty Dozen. I picked a handful, and because I thought that these were probably the ones that would be most relevant to us. And I'm going to start with one it's a phishing and smishing scam. Most of us know what phishing is. When somebody sends an email, I should say a fraudster sends an email claiming to come from the IRS or some organization that you know about a phony tax refund or threatening false legal or criminal charges or tax fraud. That's a phishing email, and there's always a link to click. A smishing, that's SMISHING, and honestly, I never heard of it until I started doing my research for this. Smishing is a text or SMS message where the scammers use alarming language, such as your account has now been put on hold, or unusual activity report, and then there's a bogus link that says solutions. That the taxpayer or the person who gets this text message would think that they should be clicking in order to fix the problem. But if they click that email, they're going to allow malware and malware or ransomware, that's the word I was thinking of, to be put on your computer. The IRS is never going to text you. They will never email you. They only send you a regular letter. Even after there's been communication, they do not email or text. The next one is helpful scammers offering to set up an online account for you. So the IRS has an online account that you can sign up for that allows you to get access to your transcripts, to IRS information, and things like that. Excuse me. And information like that. You could go on there to see how much you still owe. If you have a payment plan, you can go on there to set up a payment plan. It's easy to set it up yourself. But there are scammers that will call and say they are from the IRS or they are from some organization that might be familiar to you, like AARP or one of those, and that they're offering to help you set up your online account. And a big target for this is seniors, and because a lot of them are not as savvy on the computer. So if somebody offers them help, they're usually willing to take it, even if it's not a relative. The problem is, in order to set up this account, you're providing the person who's doing it for you with a lot of personal information that they can then use to file false tax returns and things like that. So you should avoid sharing sensitive information over the phone, email, or social media to protect yourselves and avoid getting caught up in these types of scams. I mean, if you have a tax professional, and I emphasize the word professional, if you have a tax professional that you trust, and the tax professional says, gee, it would be helpful if you set up an online account, I can help you. I think that's a little bit different because you're already giving that person the information. The only thing is, if you're allowing them to set up the account, they have your login information. And, well, in reality, it wouldn't work anyhow, even if they have your login information, because with ID.me, which is the new way of verifying identification, a code goes to your cell phone. So unless I have your cell phone, even if I have your login information, I can't get onto your online account. So, but that would go to the smishing, back to the smishing, that's how people could get into your phone. So you need to be careful. Next one I'm going to talk about is ghost tax preparers. This is why I emphasized tax professionals. A ghost preparer, the level to get into to prepare taxes is very low. It's $19 for a preparer identification number, and you don't even have to know anything about preparing taxes. All the IRS asks you is if you're a convicted felon. And if you're not, they give you the preparer identification number, and you can go ahead and set up your shingle. Maybe you've been doing your own taxes, maybe you've been doing some friends and family, and you think, now's a good time for me to be making money in this. So ghost preparers pop up to encourage taxpayers to take advantage of tax credits and benefits that they usually don't qualify for. If you've seen signs between January and April, for if you get by the traffic lights, there's always these yard signs that say, if you have one child, you can get this much money. If you have two children, you can get this much money, and so on and so forth. And oftentimes the person who's doing the taxes manipulates the numbers so that you get that. And then they disappear when the return is filed. They don't sign it, hence ghost preparer. And they leave you holding the bag with the IRS. And because you don't have their information, you really can't report them to the IRS. So what the IRS says is, again, it's seniors and the underserved community. And the three that I've seen recently have been with the underserved community. So you can go on the IRS's website and check credentials and qualifications of a tax preparer or tax preparers on let's see, I'm reading this so I get it right. A federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications list. You can sort it by zip code so that you can get somebody who's near you, and then you can choose based on qualifications. How much more time do I have?
You have about two or 3 minutes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, instead of doing another one, you know what, maybe I'll do this one real quick. There's also something out there called offer and compromise mills. These are the commercials that you hear with, we can save you pennies on the, we can get your tax debt settled for pennies on the dollar. And what they end up doing is they charge a large fee, promise you they're going to settle for pennies on the dollar, and then can't, because there are strict requirements for it's a good program and it's a legitimate program, but there are strict requirements for the program. And as a result, the fraudsters in these offer and compromise mills will offer to settle the debt. They'll ask you some information, but they won't tell you all the details. And then after you've paid them, they tell you, I'm sorry, the IRS rejected your offer. So I would watch out for those two. Again, they should be qualified. You should be the taxpayer who's going to hire somebody to do an offer and compromise, should be interviewing, asking questions about how do I qualify? How do you know if I qualify? And if it doesn't sound right, move on. All right, the last thing I wanted to say is Paul commented about the fact that my husband and I are enrolled agents. So what that means is we passed a series of tests, not unlike the CPA exam, but these were IRS exams rather than state exams. And we are credentialed by the IRS to represent taxpayers in front of the IRS and state agencies. That's what makes us professional tax preparers. We have a continuing education requirement every year, and my husband and I do well over that. So I'd like to just finish by saying I'm Sheree White, and I talk to the IRS so you don't have to.
Now that you just give away your hook, I was going to ask you to actually take a moment